This is Dumb Money Live with Chris Camillo, Dave Hansen, and Jordan McLean, streaming live on YouTube. We are Dumb Money. Good morning. Welcome to Dumb Money Live. I'm Dave Hansen. I am broadcasting live from La Paz, Mexico right now. Chris and Jordan look like they're not on the screen yet, but let me pull up. Here's Chris and Jordan in their own version of self-quarantine there in Dallas, Texas. Today, we're talking all about how to protect your portfolio from a potential pandemic. We have Trump tweeting that everything's fine, that the media is making it worse than it looks. We have the CDC saying that they need to prepare for a pandemic. So who are investors to believe during this tumultuous time on the market? How do we protect our portfolios? How can companies like Netflix potentially fare very well in something like this when people are locking themselves in their home? Other companies like airlines and booking sites, are they going to suffer the most? All of that and more on today's Dumb Money. We are live on YouTube with your comments, so please do hit us up there with comments. And also thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Hey guys, welcome.
So
I'm surprised you're not wearing your hazmat suit.
I really should have, Dave.
One thing,
but I have to save that. Yeah, I have to save the hazmat suit for.
Yeah.
Let's just call it as it is. Everybody that knows me thought I was a little crazy 2 weeks ago, right? Like that was. I mean, we've been preparing for this for how long? 3 weeks now? 3.5 weeks? Right?
Yes.
And we did a few live episodes. I mean, some people I know saw them and were like, "You're nuts! You're exaggerating this thing. Like it's the market's not going to get impacted by this. It's hitting all-time highs. The market doesn't care." And we've been trading for a long time. I've been trading for 30 years. I've seen a lot, and we keep referencing the same book I do. Black Swan by Nassim Taleb, and from the day that I first read that book, it really stuck with me that these things are going to happen. They're guaranteed to happen. You just have to be prepared for when they actually happen to trade off of them. And I want to give ourselves some credit. We were prepared. We were a little bit early. But I started buying when I sent out those first texts about N95 face mask and gloves and goggles. What was that, 2 weeks ago?
It was at least 2 weeks ago, yeah. And we were talking at lunch about how you actually have the it's not a hazmat suit, it's more of a clean room suit, but you're prepared to leave a house in a emergency if needed.
Well, here's the thing, like the clean room suit's not for me. It's for like if you're in your house quarantined for 2 months and let's say your HVAC goes out or you have a plumbing issue or an electrical issue or you just need someone to come in your house to do work. Like all that's for nothing if you got a random person come in your house, you don't know where they've been. You got to set them up with a clean room suit and, a mask and booties and gloves. So you have all that stuff sitting outside your house, ready to go. And then when they come in, they don't infect your house. It's not that crazy, right? Like if you're going to be in your house for 2 months, why are you going to let someone who's been God knows where in your house just like infecting it?
Yeah, it's not that crazy. And I'm really glad that I have a friend a block away who's as prepared as you are, because as soon as I get back to Dallas, you are my first stop.
I bought a couple extras for you, Dave. I did. I have our N95s. I have goggles for you. I have booties. I have the hand nitrate gloves.
Do you want to talk about what you've done in your garage? How you have an additional freezer and you're stocking up on meat.
Yeah. So not just.
Is that too far off topic?
Let's just be clear. I am not a prepper. I am not a prepper. That is so not who I am. But listen, realistically, there is a chance that we might have to kind of self-quarantine ourselves for some period of time. It could be a couple weeks. It could be a couple months. And like, if you want to have good food and not have to, risk getting outside food brought to you, right, and being handled, you have to have frozen food for the most part. I don't like canned food. So we got $160 7-foot drop-in freezer from Lowe's. They sell them at Home Depot too. Our buddy Lynn bought one. I have two friends from the neighborhood I went to dinner with a couple nights ago, they bought one that night. They went to Home Depot, bought them. And listen, you can get as much frozen meat and frozen vegetables as you need for a couple months in there. It's $160, right? It's not a huge, it plugs into your, an outlet in your garage. It just drops in. We're going to talk about the market, everyone, in just a minute. We're going to talk about our trades and how I made $750,000 on a hedge that started last Thursday. It's been 7 days. And in the last 7 days, that hedge is up, not 750, but it's at $900,000 as of right this moment. That's how much that hedge is up. And we're going to talk to you about how we did that and exactly what we bought. Dave, you started to hedge. Jordan, you started to hedge. So it's not just me. I was a little more aggressive. My portfolio is a little more aggressive, so I have a lot to hedge. But we're going to talk about how we set up that trade and what we're doing going into this weekend and whether you can trust what the government is saying versus what the World Health Organization is saying versus what you can just pull yourself off in real-time data, right, from the world. So what are your guys' thoughts?
And I think we need to talk a little about how the how we've seen historically over the last few weekends, there is this sell-off going into Friday, and you and I were talking about this a little bit. That is now becoming more common news, and everyone is a little more aware that there's this Friday sell-off, and so people start to make their hedge bets on maybe Thursday now. We were talking yesterday about maybe Wednesday's now the day to do it, and at some point, are we in a bear market, or are we just hedging our upside?
Yeah, and by the way, I want to discuss that too, Dave. I think that is the wrong question for today, okay? So if you turn on CNBC, there's all these analysts. Are we getting into a bear market? Like what is this going to do to 2020 earnings? Are you insane? Like, let's talk about that in 3 weeks or 6 weeks from now. Like, at this moment, all you need, and this is how I've been trading this, all you have to ask yourself is, what do I think is going to happen in the next 24 hours? Because the market is not trading on that stupid stuff that's going to be 6 months down the road. It's trading on news.
It's trading on a day-by-day tweet and, infection counts and just the little bit of information that we have. And it's moving the market dramatically and in a way that we haven't seen before.
The biggest risk is over the weekend, right? Where you've got 3 whole days to wait for bad news to come out, and then it hits on Monday.
Yes. So I've been trading heavily with options, hedging my account, not day by day, in 15-minute increments. I have, as you guys know, I'm sleep, deprived right now. I'm sleeping 3 hours a night. I'm up till 3 in the morning. I'm up at 6:30.
I do have to say the text chain that is going on between us and between our group of friends, and the differing opinions that even in our small group of friends, it's kind of remarkable.
Yeah. So I have been I've been buying options in the 6-figure range every day on the SPY, which is the S&P 500 ETF, on Win Casinos, as we've talked about the last couple of weeks. I was like, this is insane. It's not going down. Finally, it's dumping. Finally, the world is waking up to what we've been saying, right? On Marriott Hotels, on Booking.com, on Delta Airlines, okay? We've also bought some stocks, but we have been shorting the market with puts in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And since last Thursday, my put position is up $900,000 in 6 days, 6.5 days. And do you want to pull that up on the screen now?
You are active in the Wall Street Bets community these days, aren't you? I think your screen has gone to sleep. I'm not seeing it as a preview, but
I'll pull it up. Sorry guys, let me see if I could find this here. I thought I had it on. I'm going to try to pull. Where'd it go? Hold on. Guys, we have a little clip, and this is the same. Oh, here it is. So this is the same screenshot. Oh, that's not it. Sorry.
I'm not seeing anything in your share.
I got it, Dave. I got it. I'm going to pull it up right here. Oh, do I need to? Can you see it now? Hold on. I'll pull it up.
I can't see it.
I know how I can get it. Just give me a second, okay? Sorry, guys. We're going to pull up this screenshot for you so you can actually see exactly what we've been doing. There it is. Did that come up now, Dave?
Okay, yeah, I've got it now.
Okay.
There. And you can zoom in.
Yeah. So I'm going to take you through this trade. This is the first trade I made, I think, starting last Thursday. As you can see, oh, I can't zoom in that way. I got to zoom in from the actual window. Okay. So, okay, let's go right here. 220. I spent $28,000 to buy 200 February 24th. Those expired this past Monday. Okay. 336 put options on the S&P 500, the SPY. 26,000. I then the next morning, I bought an additional 50 contracts for 16,000. So total investment there was $42,000. That's not including the investment I made in Wynn Casinos. I bought puts on Wynn. I didn't put that on the screen. But as you can see here, I then exited those trades on the 24th, which was what? Is that Tuesday, Dave, this last Tuesday? And if you add up all these exits here, let me increase the size of the screen. You can see here's the exit on all those trades: 23,000, 24,000, 5,000. Let's see if I can pull this off here. Here we go. 4,000, 103,000, 35, 35, 35, 23. You add those all up, and that's a quarter. That's $300,000. So basically, that hedge started with a $40,000, basically a $40,000 hedge that added up to around $300,000 between my SPY puts and my Win puts, which you can't really see on that screen. So that was a $250,000, gain that happened over the weekend. When I sold those, I then went in even deeper on new SPY puts that I still own at this moment. Now, you're going to think I'm crazy. I bought 500 puts on the SPY that expire on this next Monday. I also bought puts on Booking.com. I bought puts on, I had some on Wynn. I had some on Marriott Hotels. I had some on Delta Airlines. And these puts are now worth, I don't know, they're up. Like I said, if you combine the $250,000, it's total. I'm about $900,000 up in the last week. Now, that obviously has more than covered my losses over the past week in my primary portfolio. It's about doubled my losses, right? So these are things that anybody can do. I'm not saying that you should do them as an investor, but when you have as much money in the market as we do, and you really owe it to yourself to not listen to anybody who's going to tell you, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. You have to make your own decisions. So this is our decision. I know, Dave, you did something similar. Jordan, you did something similar a little later in the game, but you did something similar. We do not listen to anyone. We don't listen to any analyst. We don't listen to any financial journalist. The only reason why I even listen to those guys is to see what the rest of the world is thinking and how stupid they are most of the time. This is honestly a trade that we're really
for me, I haven't been as proactive as you have. When you were starting to make your hedge bets, I was slow to do anything. I did make one, but it was not as big as it needed to be to hedge a substantial position that I have. So I joke that this vacation has cost me $500,000, but the reality is, because I haven't been as active as you and haven't been watching it as closely as you, I've lost money. And that's just a thing that, as investors, you need to be on top of what you're doing. And it's I did finally get back into some SPY puts, but they're not doing as well as yours. I can tell you that.
Jordan, you're hedging your portfolio now, right? To some extent.
Yeah. So I purchased some puts yesterday. They were up about 80% this morning, so I went ahead and sold them. But they expired on Friday, and so right now I'm just looking to get back in for something until Monday. Probably expires on Monday. One of the SPYs it's a high for the day, so I might just pick some up here pretty soon. That's why I've been looking at my phone.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I don't know what the market's going to do, how they're going to react intraday, day to day. I mean, every time you buy these puts, it's a risk, right? Everything's a risk. We don't know what kind of news is going to come out over the weekend. It could be positive. People can realize that, you know what, maybe this thing, we can keep it under control. It's not as crazy as we thought it was today. You just don't know. But you have to. I mean, let's just walk through the scenarios. What do we think is going to happen this weekend? Do we see the events getting better through the weekend, or getting worse, or staying the same? Because I will tell you this, if it doesn't get worse, the market will go up. Okay, we all know that. The market wants to move up. We have never been in a better place with interest rates. There's no other place to put your money. Employment in the U.S. is at an all-time low. I mean, the earnings have been phenomenal.
We're not technical traders at all. We're not fundamental traders. But I've never seen a chart on the S&P 500 look the way this has. It's like, how low can it go? Like,
well,
the market wants to go back up, but without some good news, or at least without the alternative of more bad news, I don't see a reason for it to go up in the short term.
I think that if the information doesn't get worse, the market is going to go up. But I think the information is more likely to get worse than it is to get better or not, or stay the same. But if you feel, I mean, if I felt, or if at any point in time where I feel that this thing is even just going to flatline in terms of bad news, then I'll reverse out of those positions pretty quickly and go long on the market, because this is financial engineering at its greatest. The market wants to go up because there is so much free money to borrow. I mean, you can't lose. There's no alternative. What are you going to put your money in? The 2 years at 1.2%, 1.3%, right? I mean, what are you going to put your money in if not equities? So
let's talk for a second about where we're getting our information, and when that trigger point of thinking it's going down is going to change to it going up. So we have the president saying it's all fine and holding a press conference trying to reassure everyone that America is as prepared as anyone.
Just wash your hands, Dave.
As that's happening. What's that?
I said, just wash your hands, Dave, and don't hug people with the flu.
But during that press conference, the CDC is confirming a case, and the news is breaking, and nobody in that room realizes it. But there's a confirmed case where someone hasn't been traveling. So where are you getting your news? And I can tell you that we're following two specific Twitter accounts, and we can put those on the screen. But there's
please. Dave, do you have those two accounts? Can you put them up? I'm looking for them.
Let me pull it up real quick. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this press conference. We're watching the press conference, of course, and it was kind of insane. I mean, guys, I don't know if you saw. I mean, I don't want to rip on anybody, but it was exactly what you think a government would do. I mean, they're just trying to like talk to us like we're 5-year-olds, and I'm laughing the whole time. It's insane, but. No, we're getting this alert, right? I got the alert during the press conference from one of these two accounts that there was the first incident that could have been a community transmission. Let's talk about what community transmission means, because I don't know if anyone that they know what it means. Community transmission, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan and Dave, but it's when we have evidence that someone has contracted the virus that we cannot link to someone else that we knew had the virus, meaning that there are now additional people that have the virus in the community. We don't know who they are, but it's spreading from person to person, and we cannot isolate the chain of spread. Jordan, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, they've not had any risky travel, nor have they been in contact that they know of with anybody who's had risky travel.
Yeah. So we got that alert, and the market quickly turned negative after hours, a couple minutes after that. And you have to be getting these alerts intraday. You just have to. Dave, do you have the two accounts up there?
I'll get them up in 1 second.
Okay. So these are two accounts that we think between the two of them, if you follow these accounts on Twitter, they are the quickest. I think one of them is called BNO News, right, Dave? And the other one is like coronavirus 19 update or something like that. We'll put them on the screen for you guys. but they have been lightning fast in getting news out. So I actually have Twitter set to alert me via my iPhone in real time every single time one of these two accounts tweets, okay? And if you're looking to really stay on top of this information in real time, I highly recommend doing the same exact thing.
Okay, and I have them on the screen now, and the two accounts are BNO Newsroom, which is at BNO Desk, and the other is, that's a retweet. The other is at Subgap, Coronavirus COVID-19 Updates. So I actually have these set up as a public list on my Twitter account at Dave Hansen. If you want to just subscribe to it there, you'll get both of those. And if we find any others, I can keep this list updated.
Gotcha. So, so just to talk about how I'm thinking differently about strategy, trading strategy right now. As you know, I was a big short on Win. I thought about going back into Win as a short again. I'm kind of transitioning away from some of the Asian stocks like Win that have a big influence over in Asia and more to kind of U.S. based, because honestly, like I think those are the next ones that to get that hard hit. And we're just a little bit late on some of these U.S. stocks like Marriott. I think Marriott is way too high. I think it's ridiculous. Delta Airlines, same thing. These U.S. travel companies, I think, are going to get slaughtered. Everyone in my
specifically, the travel companies you're in are Delta, Marriott, Booking.com. Are there others?
Those are the ones I'm sure. I actually exited out of my Booking.com short. Man, that thing got hit pretty hard. It could get hit harder. But I still, I'm still trading my Delta, my Marriott short. I'm in both of those still.
By the way, Marriott up for the day.
Yeah, Marriott is up for the day. So I still think, there's probably more room for me, at least the risk reward. I like it on those. And I think a lot of people are talking about canceling spring break. I just think if this thing gets worse over the next few days, those stocks will get slaughtered, but we'll see what happens. Now, we do have some long positions, though, we discovered, guys. And these are not the virus companies. These virus companies that everyone's investing in, their valuations have gone up billions, like $7 billion, $8, $9, $10 billion. It's insanity. Can they even make that much money off this drug? I don't want to mess with those companies right now. I just feel like they're almost in like bubble territory. But there are some stocks that I think have come down. Like I think even Netflix. I picked up some Netflix this morning. But my favorite, and it is up significantly, is Zoom. Right? You guys bought into Zoom? You researched it?
So Zoom freaks me out. It's like up 30% every day. So I don't know if I can buy into that.
So Zoom is a video conferencing company. It's an institutional enterprise video conferencing company. And, we've all spent some time in corporate America. And you can't every company in the world after this is going to have enterprise level video conferencing. Would you guys agree? I mean, is that like just a guarantee, a near guarantee?
Everybody that I follow on Twitter from Silicon Valley is basically banning handshaking and meeting in person in their offices. So,
right?
Yeah, why not just do video conference and
It just seems like Zoom is like the company right now. Like it's I don't know valuation wise. You could make maybe an argument, is it overbought? I don't know. I just want to be in Zoom, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like even after this whole coronavirus story ends, and hopefully that will be soon, I think what has happened here will have a lasting impact on kind of corporate, right? And I think that this is going to happen for the next 2 years. Zoom is going to get contract after contract after contract, and they're going to be so busy. I think this is just outstanding news. So I don't know, maybe it's overbought, but I want to own Zoom from now. Like I think Zoom is going to be part of my like long-term portfolio here that could, for the next few years, right up there with Amazon and Apple and the companies we talk about, Disney.
Yeah. And you've made some more money today. It's up another 4%.
Yep.
And it's a $30 billion company. So,
yeah, we'll just see. I think they're one of those enterprise SaaS companies that I I just want to have in my portfolio, and it's hard to find stuff to get excited about right now on the long side, right?
Yeah.
So guys, there will be a point in time when we see things start to flatten out, and the market is going to knee jerk back. You know it will, right? It's going to fly. Is there anything in particular that you guys are looking at when this thing? And by the way, it could be a month or two before we feel like getting back in. But whenever that happens, it could be Monday or it could be 2 months from now. What are the stocks you guys are looking at right now?
Yeah, I think Apple's taken a pretty good hit, and then obviously I'm a big Tesla fan, and I think they've come back, not down to earth, but they've deflated quite a bit in the last few days, right?
For me, it's basically just all of my favorite stocks, and all of my, everything that is lowered, it's a buying opportunity to just double down with any of the money that's still on the sideline, or that's still left after all of our all of these hedge, $100,000 hedges we're making in SPY options. If that money goes away, we're not going to be able to get back into some of these things.
I'm having to force myself to not buy Apple right now at 282.
Well, 282 is still not. It's not like crazy cheap. I mean, it's cheap, but like I agree with you, man. But and I think that's the gut reaction of traders and institutional traders, because they have to put money at work, right? So I think they're seeing this, and their gut instinct is it's a steal right now, and I think that's probably why the market is recovering in the last hour or two, because it's okay, this has to be the bottom. This has to be capitulation. I'm not so sure.
My stock quotes are coming in Spanish. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm not so
sure. This Apple pesos.
You gonna buy them in pesos? Yeah.
Apparently.
When you have these type of events, and we've been through them so many times. I mean, the first one was 1987. I was really young, but I was kind of a really kid nerd watching that whole thing go down in 87. I've been there for every one of these. So I hate to say it, we're kind of elders in these days when it comes to the market. These things come in waves, right? And they go up, it doesn't go straight down. There's relief rallies when people, some portion of the investing public just thinks, wow, I've been wanting to buy this stock. They buy it. And then we get more bad news, and then people start freaking out. Why don't we talk about, what I think we haven't really seen yet is the kind of the margin pressure, right? Like this, when people have to start deleveraging their portfolio, that is a brutal cycle that we saw in 2008. That happened in 1987, I think, to some extent. And that, I think a lot of these young traders don't really understand that a lot of these institutional traders and a lot of us are levered in this market. We're levered with margin. And when you get forced to pull out those margins, pull out those positions, it just kind of spirals, right, guys?
No, absolutely. And I think that if you look at the current chart, if you pull up, this is the SPY. I'm sure that there are people who are levered that are having to sell because the chart has taken such a nosedive at the end. I mean, that's not a normal thing, and people haven't prepared for that. And while you can hedge it with options, that there are people who are actually already being short squeezed in this sell-off.
Yeah, and by the way, I mentioned to y'all about an hour ago, I was at Costco this morning. I'm trying to figure out the best frozen burgers because, we eat a lot of burgers in our house. And if we're stuck in the house for 2 months, I want to have burgers, but they don't last for 2 months. So, our buddy Terrence told us that the Sam's Club burgers are amazing that are frozen. And I don't have a membership to Sam's Club, but I am going to go there later today. But I was at Costco this morning, and that parking lot filled up in 5 minutes. It went from 0 to half full in 5 minutes before the store opened. The cashier told me that yesterday was one of the busiest weekdays he's ever seen, ever at Costco. And that this morning, the first 15 minutes at Costco was way worse than even yesterday. So I'm not saying to buy Costco. I'm not saying not to, but I mean, it's interesting, right? When this whole panic's going to start to happen, we're, are companies like Costco going to maybe see a blip initially, but then no one's going to go back in there for a month? So it's really hard to say. I wouldn't get too fancy with these trades. So I've had a lot of people emailing me, hey, Chris, I have this, like, how about Clorox? How about this? I'm like, I wouldn't get too fancy. Just like the market, if it goes down, the whole market's going to get destroyed, right? And the leader is going to get destroyed. And if it comes back up,
sky high, right?
What?
Clorox is already sky high.
Yeah, I'm like, the market comes back up, it's probably going to be Amazon and Apple and Disney and all the Microsoft, right? Shopify. All the big favorites that everybody loves are going to be the ones they love again when this market comes back. So I wouldn't overthink this. I mean, I'm not telling what people should do. By the way, we're not financial advisors. We do not provide financial advice. We're just going over what we do so that you can learn from what we do and be entertained by it. But don't trade based on what we're doing. You make your own decisions. Your risk tolerance is different than ours. Speak to your own financial advisor. Do not trade on what we're saying. But for us, I think that we're staying with kind of some of the obvious names, right, guys? On the short side and on the long side once we go long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you want
the ones that make the most sense.
Yeah. Amazon. I'm just seeing some comments. We should talk about these comments, guys. What do we think about Amazon? Well, Amazon's like literally my number one. So I doubled down in Amazon about a month ago, killed it, and I got out of that levered double down position last week. Thank goodness.
Did you?
Yeah, I got out of it. I will get back into it the second I think that we could be kind of seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. Amazon will be the first thing I get back into. I'll probably add some more Shopify. Me and you, Dave, were in Shopify. Then we sold a lot of it, and I've been wanting to get back deeper into Shopify for a while. I'll probably do that.
Back into Shopify, exactly.
I don't know. What are some other favorites we have that we'd get back in hard when this thing comes back in? I have to bring up my portfolio. That's really those are the big ones for me, quite honestly, that I'm just going to double down, get back into. You know what? I kind of miss the Microsoft boat. Might pick up some Microsoft, when this thing turns around. That's one that I kind of
have less Microsoft than I wish I did, and they've been one of the outstanding performers of the year. And at these new lower prices, I like them.
Yeah. I'm not going to get fancy, though. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to stick with my 4 or 5 big names, the names that have gotten destroyed here, that when the market turns around, those are the names I'm going to get in. But until then, I am going to stay fully hedged on my portfolio, or in some cases, like right now, I'm more than fully hedged. I'm 130% hedged. This weekend, do you guys want to be in the market this weekend or hedged through the weekend? I want to be at least 100% hedged this weekend, and I'll make my decision tomorrow whether I want to be 100% hedged or 120, 130% hedge. And what we mean by that, guys, is when we say we're 120% hedge, that means that we are buying puts to basically insure our entire portfolio, plus we're buying additional puts to actually profit if the market goes down. And that's what I've been doing for the past week.
The value of your portfolio divided by the current price of the SPY divided by 100 tells you how many contracts you're going to buy.
Yeah. So right now I'm about 125, 130% hedged. I'll either be that or a little less, maybe 100%, down to 100% going through the weekend. I love those SPY puts that expire on Monday afternoon. Those are my new favorites because I don't have to pay premium for the whole week. I just got to pay enough to get me through the weekend, which is the biggest thing. And then on Monday morning, I can kind of reassess and figure, do I want to add to that hedge position or kind of pull back from it? So that's how I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I'm at 100% hedge right now. Mine are actually one weekend past, just in case I lose connectivity and can't get to my accounts from here. So I have my options expiring a week from Monday, and those are SPY puts. And I also have some calls on a triple leveraged S&P 500 ultra fund to hedge a long position I have in that.
By the way, guys, I think there's some good news that's coming out of China, right? And so I think that's part of what's kind of keeping the market from totally melting down. I think we really need to talk about that and why that good news is coming out of China, why the transmission rates are going down there, and in my opinion, at least, why we shouldn't think that we can do what China is doing. And so, like, China, as we know, has done this draconian quarantining where you can't even leave your house in Wuhan, and you definitely can't leave the city of Wuhan, right? And we're just not doing that, and neither is any other country in the world. So my concern...
And they were prepared for it. They are...
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. They're really prepared for it. Do you think that the rest of the world is going to take this as seriously as China has in Wuhan? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think the rest of the world will say they're taking it seriously, and I think the rest of the world will not act as dramatically as China. Talk a little about how the testing in this country, in the U.S., is going compared to other countries that have the, was it South Korea that has drive-through testing tents that you can get your coronavirus test just from through a window with people wearing hazmat suits?
Yeah, I've heard we've only got 3 states that even have the coronavirus test right now, and so who knows what's actually happening.
Jordan, did you hear about this California community transmission case? I just heard a couple hours ago that this person actually went to the hospital on the 17th or the 19th, and because of the insane, and I don't know if this is true, this is what I'm hearing, because of the insane CDC testing policy, which is basically we don't test you unless you've come into direct contact with someone with coronavirus, or if you've been in China in the last 14 days, that they did not get tested the first time they went to the hospital, even though they had coronavirus. That pisses me off beyond belief. Just so pisses me off. And like,
it's unbelievable that we're not proactively wanting to test people. Instead, we're hesitating and not testing, and not even providing tests to hospitals.
Yeah, it really like is stunning to me. So I've been reading about this all week about how we only did like 500 tests in America. 500. We've only tested. South Korea is testing 20 to 25,000 people a day. They have drive-through testing, and like we're not going to have people with coronavirus if we're not testing them. And here's the thing, Jordan, could you talk about this, because this is you have the expertise in this area. The incubation period lasts up to 27 days, right? So just because we only have a few cases here, that doesn't really mean much when it could take a week to 3 or 4 weeks before it shows up, right? And you start getting really sick.
Yeah, look, and this is what worries me about China also, right? I mean, this thing could totally explode again because they're letting people back to work. They're letting people out of their homes. Obviously we're not testing people here. And so you think you've got the common flu or something, and you're like, oh, I'll be reasonable about it. But you go to the store, you do something, and, this thing could explode. I mean, you've seen some of the charts where this thing is like
and there's
a hockey stick going straight up in China. I mean, that could happen anywhere.
Do you know that sometimes when you get reporters or getting in a car, like a rental car, that the car is plastic? The entire inside the car is covered in plastic, and it comes with a sticker saying it's been sanitized for you. When you order food in China, they take a temperature, which is kind of stupid because most people don't have a temperature when they have coronavirus for weeks, right? But you get the temperature reading of your cook and your delivery driver. I think that's just to make you feel better.
It is. Here's the other thing.
Measure.
A lot of time, I was watching something. I forgot if it was on YouTube or the news or whatever. But a lot of these guys, when you see them taking the infrared temperature of somebody's forehead, they're using industrial infrared thermometers that aren't accurate at small scales. They're meant to see if something's like 400 or 500 or 1,000 degrees. They're not medical grade, and so these things can be off by as much as like 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which. Hello, it's just letting people through.
it's like them taking our shoes off at the airport just to make people feel better, right? There's so many issues here. I mean, this is moving so fast, and you really start to see all the cracks in the system and how vulnerable we really are. And let's not forget, I don't want to cause panic or anything like that, but the Spanish flu of 1918 that killed, oh my God, was it tens of millions or something like that of people? That wasn't like 1,000 years ago. It was like 100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? These things happen. Like we've been reading about them for decades, and not that it's going to happen like that now because the death rate is only 3%, 2% maybe, but it would still suck if 2% of the population had died. That would impact every one of our families, our friend groups, our neighborhoods. That's catastrophic, guys. I mean, people are just not treating this with the seriousness I don't think that they should. By the way, did you get any of that disinfectant I told you about? So I've read, guys, I'm not a scientist, but I have done some reading, and supposedly the coronavirus
tendencies are really starting to show, though.
Yeah, but here's the deal: the coronavirus can't be, I've heard, really disinfected quickly with just your average, Clorox wipes, even though they say they disinfect 99.9%. I've heard that among hospitals and places that need to do this, that the best solution is a 7.5% hydrogen peroxide solution. Again, this is just what I've heard, and I found some on the internet, and I think it just arrived this morning to my house. I got a gallon of it. But these are things that people want to kind of know. Do you have the brand of that, Dave? When I texted it to y'all, can you find that?
I'll find it. Hang on.
Yeah, find that
in the group.
Because hey, guys, listen. If I had to spend an hour reaching this, I might as well share it with the world and with our viewers. If for any of y'all that are super neurotic,
as soon as we let all 200 people on this stream.
But I mean, and here's the other thing about using just Clorox. A lot of people just wipe it on, wipe it off type of deal. You're supposed to let it sit for you look at the back, but you're supposed to let it sit for like a minute or 2 minutes or something like that. And a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. Listen, again, I'll reframe. I'm not a prepper. I'm not one of these loony people. Like, I don't do this stuff. But this is a realistic situation where I think, spending a few $100s, to do what it takes to be prepared. Better to be prepared, in the big scheme of things. What's a few hours of your time and a few $100, whether it's buying a drop-in freezer before they're all sold out, right?
Well, I've got plenty of freezer space. So what I did is I went and spent a few $100s on, and this is dumb money, right? Barbecue. So I went and got brisket and pork shoulders and things like that I know, hey, if I need to hole up for a little bit, I'm going to fire up a smoker out in my backyard. I
love it. You know what's so great? Like, if I can trust that you guys are properly self-quarantining yourselves, like we will be, then we can come over and hang out at your house, have a barbecue. You can come up, you know what I'm saying? You can come to, because, if we're stuck in our houses for 2 months, it's going to get kind of lonely. I mean, we could do this stuff every day on Dumb Money, but like, I still want my barbecue.
Being stuck in the house, I don't think it's as extreme as you think it's going to be, but I'm worried that you won't be able to get certain things and that you won't want to go to a store where there are a lot of people, right? So those two factors make me want to have some food on hand.
Yeah, but I'm still not going to, like, you get the barbecue. Can you get enough barbecue for us too? Like, for at least a couple group meals?
Oh, yeah. There's, all right. You're going to eat all this brisket and pork shoulder?
So we could still do Dumb Money barbecue, but at Jordan's house?
Oh, yeah, just my house. This stuff, if everything turns out okay in the U.S. and we don't have to dip into it, this will be a summer's worth, and it'll get used eventually.
I love it. Dave, you about to say something? Dave? You there, Dave?
Dave here?
No, my internet just went out for a second. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I'm looking at some of these comments. I want to make sure we get the comments. Someone said, what do you think of Big Lot earnings tonight? Guys, I'm not looking at earnings right now. Like, when you have these types of events, these are black swan events. These are market anomalies. Nothing else matters. I don't care about earnings right now. I'm not looking at individual tickers. I'm really just staying with a couple big names and the index overall. I want to stay in stuff that's highly liquid, things that I could get in and out of very quickly. Someone said iRobot looks interesting, maybe. Tesla. I mean, I do not care about earnings this next week. I really don't. I'm focused exclusively on this.
However, Square had really good earnings, and they're up 11% today.
That's awesome. I mean, but like, I'm just not going to trade earnings right now. They're big. Like, I'm going to allocate my time to getting in front of this news cycle. And, you know, yesterday, like, I've made a few trades that I've been able to kind of slightly get in front of even these institutional traders, where news has come out and I was able to trade on it within 20 seconds, 25 seconds. And I saw that the market didn't get hit for like another 60 to 90 seconds. So institutions, for whatever reason, maybe because this is a new type of an event, their algos are not working as quickly as you would think to trade this news flow, right? And it's amazing to me, because if you're getting real-time alerts like we are on our iPhone on those 2 Twitter accounts, and you see something really significant like that California viral community transmission, or if more stuff gets released here in the U.S., or if the World Health Organization comes out and claims that this is now a global pandemic. They haven't done that, right, in the last couple of hours yet that I'm aware of. If they claim there's a global pandemic, that will move the market. I really think there's like a 30 to 60 second window of arbitrage where if you're on your laptop and I'm trading this stuff, it seems like I'm getting ahead of the institutional flow on some of these trades, which is kind of phenomenal. Okay, so
I did find the product that you purchased, and it is called Sporox 2, sterilizing and disinfecting, ready to use, 7.5% hydrogen peroxide.
I don't know anything about it other than I heard this is what one needs to really disinfect. I don't know what am I going to be disinfecting? I don't even know what I'm going to be disinfecting. I mean, I'll probably end up bringing it to my local hospital to donate it here in a few weeks if it things get bad. But
if I need disinfecting, I know where to get it.
Listen, Bernie Sanders talk here. I don't want to talk about politics today because I don't think the market is going to move this next week on politics. I truly don't believe that's the case. I think the market is moving on this one piece of news flow and mostly focused on Europe and America. I think China, they've kind of somewhat stabilized, so it's going to be U.S. and China, U.S. and Europe. Excuse me. Let's take a look here. Any other comments you see that are interesting, Dave?
I saw earlier somebody mention buying March 20th puts for $10. Seems pretty expensive. Chris, why don't you talk about why short terms might be better right now?
Yeah, I mean, the information is too fluid, guys. And I don't want to pay a ton of premium for something that expires in March, because what's going to happen is if I'm right and the market goes down another 1,000 points, all that premium is going to get sucked out. And if I end up selling those March puts in like 2 weeks or a week from now, I'm losing all that premium, right? Because once an option gets deep in the money, right? Once an option goes deep in the money, the premium all gets sucked out. So I prefer in situations like this to trade really short-term options and just trade them out, right? Sell them and get new options, because I'm honestly repurchasing these things mentally, at least every 15 minutes. So I prefer not to. Were they saying March options long, Jordan, or short?
No. They bought puts. I think they were like 9 something for March 20th for 305s, which that's about 3 times what I paid for my weekly expirations.
Yeah. So listen, everybody make their own decisions. Don't trade on what we tell you. But for me, at least, I prefer to trade short term because I get the most impact per dollar invested, because the premiums are lower.
These weekly options that expire on a Monday, so that you make it through the weekend and you're getting that premium instead of having the ones that expire on Friday. So that's worth it to you, not to hold over the weekend.
Well, if I thought that I was definitely going to hold those options through March expiration, then I would buy the March expiration options, right? Because you'd end up saving money on premium, right? But I'm confident that I'm probably not going to hold the options all the way through March. So that's why that's why I'm buying the options only through the expiration of when I'm confident I'm going to hold them until.
Well, March is Monday now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant March monthly.
I was saying March 20th.
When you say March, I assume you mean
March is coming.
Yeah, I assume you meant the third Friday of March, which would be when the March monthlies expire.
Yeah.
I'm focused not only on the weeklies, but on the Monday expiration options, which aren't even weeklies.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my deal. What's that, Dave?
This is a text that just came through in our friend group. It looks like Lynn is stocked up on water.
You see, I mean, here's the deal. Like, the water's not going to go away, right? I mean, if you really have to have bottled water, that's fine. But like,
I've got a water filter. I should be fine with that.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about water. You know what I'm concerned about? Toilet paper. I'm concerned about medications. I'm concerned about just food. And I'm also just concerned about just things around my house that I need. That what if a lot of this stuff is made in China? Like my dishwashing tabs and laundry detergent and just stupid stuff like that, where like we can't wash our clothes. That would kind of stink, right? Because everybody buys out all the washing detergent and all that stuff is made over in China and we can't get any because we're in a global pandemic and shipping is locked up. Like, it sounds stupid, but like, I need to have cat food and I need to have cat litter, because how bad would it be if I run out of cat litter in the middle of this thing? Would that suck, right? If you got cats in your house and you run out of cat litter? I don't know if people are thinking about that stuff, but that's the stuff that I'm worried about. I just want to make sure.
You personally just took a giant Amazon.com order, and Amazon's the stock that may actually eventually win in this situation, because people don't want to go to the store, and if they can have it delivered before the pandemic.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm worried about supply chains like running out, right? I'm really worried about some of these products that we rely on not being able to get them quickly because people freak out, like me, and they buy way too.
You're doing it and causing other people to rush, and then other people aren't going to be able to get their cat litter.
But that people tend to freak out, right? Like, whether it's proper or not, that is just a reality, right? Remember the whole gas?
Remember the time there was one gas station ran out of gas, and all of a sudden that hit Twitter, and the entire city sold out of gas within like 12 hours. Yeah. And then you were stranded. If you weren't one of the people who did that, you were then stranded.
Yeah. I'd love to take you in my garage right now. I have got these cat litter trays that are halfway to the ceiling. I got enough cat litter till July. Okay. But like, just stuff. I've said you should go through your house and just inventory everything and be like, what do I need for the next 90 days? And just buy it. Cause like, what's your worst case scenario? You just have extra of stuff that you'll use for the next 90 days. Like, you'll just use it eventually, right? It's like, it's not perishable, most of this. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Jordan?
All right, what we got?
Yeah, why not? I mean, except that you're putting pressure on other people to do the same thing. But,
Well, yeah, I'm not personally putting. I mean, maybe through this thing, but if that's happening, right? That's at some point, if this thing gets bad, that's going to happen. And I'm not going to be the guy that's like, oh, crap, now I can't get my stuff. Like, I'm sorry. That's just, people are irrational or rational. I don't know which one when it comes to this. Yeah. And that's just going to did you see what happened in Milan in like 4 hours? The entire city of Milan, every grocery was like gone. Like, the shelves were empty. So like,
hey, I've already been to Costco and bought a bunch of stuff. So I'm not against you. I'm just saying.
No, I know. It's like, it's not me. It's like, it's
in our commenters also. Kevin on here says that he just got his laundry detergent at his Costco run. Brian wants to know, are you still in your Delta Airline puts?
I'm still in my Delta Airline puts. I'm still in my Marriott puts. I am still in. No, I think those are the only two that I'm in. Besides, of course, I'm in my SPY puts. Okay, yeah, so I'm in my SPY puts and those two stocks. I'll pull up my account right now. I could be
Pull up your
forgetting.
account and give us the strike price just so everyone knows. This is our new version of doing trade boards.
Yeah, if you want to know what I'm in exactly, here it is. I have. It's going to sound insane, but I have 500 of the 2020 SPY 323 put options. I am shorting.
And you bought that when 323 was near the money, not way in the money, right?
Yes, I am shorting 10,000 shares of SPY, straight up. Okay,
Straight up shorting SPY.
Are you shorting or you buy put options?
Also shorting 10,000 shares of SPY. I also have 500 puts on Delta Airlines, the February 28th 51 put, okay, which is not going awesome right now. Let's see, what are they trading at? They're trading at a little less than what I bought them at because the market's recovering here. And I have 50 of the February 28th, 2020 130 put options on Marriott, right? So Marriott, February 28th, 130 put options. That's it. That's all I got. And everything else in my portfolio is like long, like super long, right? So it looks super like, where's the market at? Is it like super recovering right now or what?
Slightly.
So we're down.
The Dow's down 0.95.
Yeah.
NASDAQ's down 1%. The S&P's, we're pretty much even for the day. It's come back to even. After
not
huge,
even. Well, what do you mean? It's down. Dow's down 250.
Down 1%.
Dave, I think you must get in delayed quotes or something.
My
like
quotes
that.
in. No, my real time. I have quotes that refreshed 16 seconds ago. And
you sure? I'm looking at the Dow. Everything down about 1% almost.
1%, yes. 1%.
Yeah, 1%. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I got. I don't know that I'll be that heavy short into the weekend. I probably won't. I'm going to probably come back to something closer to being evenly hedged before the weekend. But for now, I'm pretty short. Oh, by the way, they want to know, can we kind of tease a little bit of what's coming up that we did this week? We have some huge news on SpaceX, okay? And we have huge news on, I'm not going to say the company because the deal's not closed yet. Dumb Money has acquired a massive allocation in literally a private company that's pre-IPO that is one of our favorite companies, and we're going to talk about that on an upcoming episode and how we acquired shares in that company. We're also going to talk about SpaceX and
what's acquired just this week. You were able to find shares for us.
Don't give it out. We'll talk about it. It's a big deal. We had to go through a lot to get it. And what's the subsidiary of SpaceX that we were excited about last week? Their satellite subsidiary. What? Starlink. So we have big news about SpaceX and Starlink and Dumb Money, and on a soon-to-be-announced company that we're making them in. Actually, we have two big companies that we're making a massive investment in. The next 4 to 6 weeks on Dumb Money is going to be crazy exciting, so you don't want to miss this.
And we did not have an episode on Tuesday because I left you guys to do one thing, have one meeting, and you didn't get it. You didn't have the meeting, and
we're a little
behind in production. We did something better, but that's going to have to come in a future episode. So we still need to put an ending on the episode that is almost finished.
Why are we having production?
We'll have that as soon as we can.
You know we can't do anything without you, Dave.
If you find something else, just slap it at the end of that episode, and I'm good with that.
All right. So I have to go because I have to do my frozen burger test. And also next week on Dumb Money.
Film that for Dumb Money?
I should. We'll tell you what the best frozen burger is for your quarantine stash, right? Coming soon on Dumb Money.
We're going to keep doing these Dumb Money lives. We'll do it every week, Thursday or Friday. Just check YouTube. We'll publish the date and time at least the day before. Hopefully we can get it scheduled a little sooner next time. But yes, we'll definitely be doing Dumb Money Live, even when we can't get an episode put together.
Yeah, and sorry guys, already our followers are asking if we can do an LLC so they could throw money into the SpaceX deal. The SpaceX deal is done. We'll talk about how big it is and how we put it together. I'm sorry, it's too late. That deal is closed, but we will talk about it soon. All right. Dave, how much you're on vacation? You're going to stay in Mexico through this whole coronavirus thing, or what?
You know, if it starts to go bad there in the U.S., I might just stay here because I don't think that there's anything to worry about.
Okay.
Yesterday here, my Twitter had a trending hashtag of coronavirus Mexico, and so I was like, oh no, something's happened. So I, obviously am quick to read Twitter. But it was just a bunch of memes and, how we're safe here because tequila kills it. And, it's purely a meme trending hashtag locally. So, but it's a good place to be, I guess. Supposedly, coronavirus doesn't survive in warmer climates. And, we're at 75 degrees here now. But if I have to wait it out, it will be warming up.
Guys, thanks for joining us today. And be sure to if your comments will not show up on when we log this video for the channel. So if you have comments that you want to log and have conversations with us after we close out this airing today, please re-comment them so we can actually get back to you.
And if you're watching the podcast,
the
way you find your comments is youtube.com/dumbmoney.
Absolutely. Really appreciate you. Listen, if this coronavirus thing hits and we're quarantined, we'll be doing these every day, trading.
And if you're looking for something else to watch, Hey There, Dave here does have an episode. It's going to be launching tonight at the time zones are so off. I think it's 5. I'm in the Mountain Time Zone 5, so 6 Central. I don't know. Just look for it tonight. YouTube.com/Hey There, Dave here. All
right, guys, take care of your portfolios, guys. Be prepared. Get the Costco. All right.
Costco.
Buy a freezer.
See you next